Good morning, Sunil. Here's your machine, the Breville Barista Express BES860. So as you saw in the photos, it is in fair condition. I mean, not too bad. It is a used machine, so you've got some signs of use from the front, so some scratches, small dents, and a bit of wear and tear on the right-hand side. Not as much on the left. And yeah, I mean, it's a few years old now, so this is expected. And the cap is missing. There used to be a silver cap here. You can put a $20 coin and this will fix it. And this is a portafilter. I've taped it here, but it's fine and it's not going to fall off. I've just taped it because it looks better like this. There used to be like a small chip here, so now you can't see the chip. It looks better, in my opinion. But anyway, the machine works fine. I've given it a full service, no problems at all. So no leaks. I've done a pressure test, a leak test, and tested the flow meter, the shot timer, and the pressure gauge. So everything seems to be fine. And I've also done the cleaning cycle. So it's ready to make a coffee now. Let's do that now. So when you turn it on, usually it'll take about a minute to turn on and warm up. When you see the buttons light up, that means it's ready to go. So I haven't made a coffee on it yet, but from what I can feel, the grind size is in the right zone. So it's fairly coarse at the moment, not too fine. If you want to make it finer, you want to push it all the way up to 18, grind size 18. The larger, the finer. So at the moment it's at number 14, but it should be okay, I think, because we're using the pressurized baskets. So these baskets are actually sort of beginner friendly and they're easier to use because you don't have to have the exact correct grind size every single time, and you don't have to have the exact correct number of grams or amount of coffee in the portafilter. It's fairly flexible and it's a bit forgiving, I would say, compared to the single wall baskets. If you want, you can upgrade to the single wall baskets in the future for the Barista Express. If you want to have a nice hot cup of coffee, you want to turn on the machine, maybe wait 10 or 20 minutes, and this will warm up the top lid. You can put your cups over here to get warm. This will also warm up your group head and your portafilter. At the moment they're cold because I just turned on the machine right now. If you're in a hurry or if you want to warm it up quickly, just run some hot water through the machine. I'm going to run a blank shot. So portafilter on, no coffee in the handle. Put the cup underneath so the cup gets warm as well. And run a double shot, let's say a double shot. Do this once or twice and your machine will be nice and hot and ready to go. Make sure your machine is nice and clean before you start using it. Great. Yeah, that's how much it gives me in the double setting. It's actually a bit more because the portafilter was actually empty, so some of the water is in the portafilter now. If you do it again. It was a bit dirty before because I was doing the cleaning cycle just before. So now it's much clearer. Also, I like doing this step because it always cleans the machine as well. So obviously you're warming up the machine, but it's also cleaning. So any coffee grounds or oils, you're getting rid of by doing this step. So it's like a win-win situation, I would say. It's nice and hot now, so I'm going to put it on the side. I'm going to grab my scale because it's useful to measure the coffee going in and the coffee going out. So the double basket that this machine comes with takes about 16 to 17 grams of ground coffee. So I'm going to empty the portafilter. I'm going to grab a tissue and dry it. You want to have a dry portafilter when you're grinding so that the coffee doesn't clump and stick to the sides of the portafilter. Yeah, so 16 to 17 grams I would say. So I'm going to aim for that. You've got your grind settings on the left, the grind size number 14 as we said. This is the single or double, so we're doing a double, so we'll keep it on double. Let's keep it on 12 o'clock in terms of the grind amount. This will give, if you change this, you'll change how much coffee the machine will grind for you. This is like a timer for the grinder. So we'll keep it at 12 o'clock and see how many grams this gives us. Be careful not to burn yourself, it's nice and hot after the blank shot. So we'll grind a double dose. Shake it a little bit. It's good to shake just so that you can settle the beans and help them get into place. Otherwise it may overflow and spill over. This looks good, so I think just over 17, if I'm not mistaken. 17 and a half. So I'm going to trim a little bit of this coffee. The way you do that, if you don't have a scale or if you're in a hurry, you don't want to use the scale for whatever reason, just do this. And this will pretty much give you 16 to 17 grams of coffee. It's not exact, but it's a quick way to get approximately the right amount of coffee. So let's measure again. Yeah, that's 17, perfect. I'm going to keep that. So I'm going to grab the tamper, press nice and firmly. Make sure you flatten it before you tamp. So this setting gave us 17 and a half. So I'm going to put it a couple clicks to the left or counterclockwise. So 1, 2. So I'll keep it here. Hopefully this setting will give you about 16, 17 grams. You want to measure that yourself. I'm not going to be grinding again. Or you can keep it on the single and put it all the way to the right. So you kind of experiment and see which one suits you best. So I'm tamping now, and you'll notice that because we have the correct amount of coffee, the tamper only goes as deep as the silver part. So 16 or 17 grams, you'll see the depth of the tamper only goes this much. And it doesn't go any deeper, even if I push really hard. This is how it looks from the top. A nice smooth surface, and about maybe 1 centimeter from the edge. Or this deep. So you can just look at this if you're in a hurry, or you don't want to use the scale. This will help you get consistent coffees if you have the consistent dose. So that's done. I'm going to lock in the portafilter now, all the way to the right. To have a good seal on the rubber seal, on the rubber gasket, you want to push it all the way to the right. Otherwise it may, fall off or leak, which is not good. So here's my cup. I'm going to get rid of this water. And I'm actually going to make a long black coffee. So I'm just going to boil a bit of water using my kettle. And you want to add your sugar or your sweetener at this stage, so that as the espresso comes down, it mixes nicely with the coffee. So we put in, 17 grams? We want to double that in terms of liquid coffee. So 17 grams times 2, that's 34. So I want to get 34 grams of espresso in this cup. I'm going to use the scale again. And like I said, if you don't have a scale, it's fine. You can just use your eye level or in your experience and just gauge that way. And these buttons, they're programmable, so you can make them to whatever length you want. If you want a short cup or very, very long cup, it's up to you. I'm going to program it to give me about 34, 35 grams. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, it just has to be close enough so that you can have a good cup of coffee. So to program it, you want to press program, and I'm going to time it as well, using my timer. It's a bit too quick on the speed side, so we're at 15, 16. Let me stop it there. So that was about 20 seconds. It was a bit too quick, but that's fine. We still have a good coffee, I would say. Some crema. That was a bit too long. Yeah, that's 40 grams. So every time we press this button, it will give you about 40 grams. Now, because it's a bit too quick, we will adjust it. So we'll make it maybe 2 numbers finer and try again. I'll let you try again. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to adjust it for you. But you can try these settings and see how you go, because different beans will have different settings on the grind size, and you may need to increase the size or decrease it depending on what bean you're buying. It's important to use fresh beans, because if you're using cheaper beans, usually the coffee isn't as good and it comes really quickly if it's a very old bean. So to change the grind size, you want to have the grinder grinding. So it's on grind size number 16 now, quite finer than before. And to get rid of the old grind size, you want to grind for like 2 seconds extra. Just to get rid of the grind size 14 that we had before. And yeah, now it's at grind 16. It's a bit finer. It will slow down the coffee because it's a finer grind. Take out the portafilter and knock it into a knock box. If you don't have one, I do have a spare one to sell, because you will need one for this machine. And rinse the machine by running another blank shot this time. This will rinse the group shower screen and the portafilter in one step, so I recommend doing it after as well. So you can even lock in the portafilter and run the shot so that it pressurizes and kind of flushes the extra into the drip tray, or flushes the water pressure into the drip tray. Nice. So this will get rid of all the oils or coffee grounds, so that next morning when you make the coffee, or the next time you're using the machine to make a coffee, it's nice and clean. You won't have any old coffee grounds. Maybe every few days, just grab a tissue or the brush. This machine comes with a few accessories. So the brush you can use to clean the grinder or the group head. So just brush or wipe the shower screen and the group seal to keep it nice and fresh. I've turned on my kettle so I can add hot water to this. But now let's test the steam. So you want to turn it on. It'll take about 10-15 seconds to start steaming. Once you hear the pump engaged, that's when it's ready to go. And with regards to the milk jug, you want to get a nice metal or stainless steel milk jug so that it's easier to conduct the heat. You want to fill it about halfway. You want to fill it halfway with milk, and then grab your jug, put it at an angle, make sure the tip is close to the surface, and turn it back on. If you don't turn it back on, the machine will cool down. Very strong. And when you're done, just make sure you give it a purge, so just like that. Just to clean the insides of any milk. And then give it a wipe. Very important to wipe it. I'm going to wipe it now because it needs one. The machine will automatically cool down, and you'll see the buttons light up again. That means it's ready to make another shot of espresso. It's a very easy to use machine. You don't have to think too much about, cleaning and temperature. It's fairly consistent on that regard, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Let me just finalize this coffee. I'm going to add hot water to make this into a long black. Maybe you can add the hot water before this shot, but I added it after just because I wanted you to see the espresso shot coming out into the empty cup. But yeah, that's the Breville Barista Express. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me at any time, and I will see you soon, hopefully. Thanks for watching.